Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the topic continuous and discontinuous variation. Previous lesson we learned about variations. So in this lesson we will talk about continuous and discontinuous variation. Before talking to the definition, before understanding about the definition of continuous and discontinuous variation, let's have a look at the diagram shown to you in the figure right now. This diagram is showing the north side and from the upper branches apple have been collected from the same tree. These apples right now here are showing north side upper branches, and these apples are showing south side upper branches. And these apples have been collected from the north side lower branches, and these apples have been collected from the south side lower branches. Now, all apples have been collected from the same tree, but you can see the variations in them. Why are these variations? Is there any particular reason for these variations? So the answer to this question is these differences between the apples, these variations between the apples are required during the growing season. These differences are not inherited. These variations are not taken from the properties of the apple. It means there are other factors other than inherited factors also that can bring the variations. So what are these environmental conditions which can result in that? Let's have a look. First of all, the upper branches will receive more sunlight. It's clear for every tree the upper branches receive more sunlight than the lower branches. But the north side, the sunlight would have been less intense as compared to the south side. And the lower branches receive less sunlight because of the shade cast by the upper branches. So this effect will be more pronounced on the north side. That is why, due to these changing amount of light, the apples in the different parts within the same tree are looking different. So the amount of sunlight is an environmental effect. It means we can say a great many variations are influenced by both genetic and environmental effects. For example, the human height will depend on what genes you inherit and the amount of food you get during your growing period. So it means these variations will be both genetic as well as environmental, because the food that you are consuming, it will also play a role in the height of the person. You may inherit a good physique, but unless you take exercise you will not develop to your full potential. You may not be muscular, or your body will not be that much strong without exposing it to exercise. Also, you may inherit the genes to make the pigment melanin in your skin, but you will need to expose your skin to sunlight to acquire a tan. No, these changes are from the environment. They have nothing to do with the inheritance. So such variations that are entirely genetically controlled, we call them discontinuous variations. These variations will not be controlled by any external condition, neither the environmental condition, neither the weather conditions. There is even the amount of food cannot alter them. For example, you are either male or female. There are no intermediates. Your blood group will be from one of the group. It will be AB. ABO blood group is termed always. No human will have the blood group out of these groups, or either the more discoverable blood groups, but the blood group will be within the range of the blood groups. Environmental factors cannot change the blood group. It means the blood group belongs to discontinuous variation. In the same way, genetic defects like color blindness, albinism, dwarfism, anemia, sickle cell, they are all genetically controlled and they are expressed in a discontinuous way. So you either have these conditions or you don't have. There is no intermediate state. For example, you will either have A blood group or B blood group or AB blood group or O blood group. There will be no intermediate group. So that's why we put them in the discontinuous variation. Because for the discontinuous variation, there will be no intermediate states. For the continuous variation, the second type that we are talking about, it can be influenced by genes, it can be influenced by the environment as well. And we can say the continuous variation is influenced by genes and environment, resulting in a range of phenotypes between the two extremes, like a height in the humans. For example, there is a every shade of hair color between black and blonde. There is a variety of the hair colors. People don't belong to one or other of a small number of distinct categories, and even they can be changed. So that is why we will put them in the continuous variation. Continuous variation also occurs when the characteristics are controlled by the genes and the environment both. Like your height will depend on the genes you inherit and on the amount of food you eat during the growing period. That is why we can say the continuous can continue. It can be controlled other than the inherited factors as well. So that's it. What we have about the variations, continuous and discontinuous variation. See you next time. Goodbye.